We get called out for lighting faults a lot, and 90% of the time it's normally really simple stuff. The biggest complaint we get is flickering lamps or light bulbs if you're a DIYer. If the light bulb is flickering, I can almost guarantee it's going to be on a dimmer switch for a start. And normally the cause is certainly between when the previous bulb was a halogen one and it's now been changed over to an LED. And there's two likely causes. Likelihood either the lamp or the bulb isn't dimmable, or the dimmer switch isn't compatible for LED lamps, and that is normally where you will get this flickering occurring. Easiest way to check this first is look if the lamp or bulb you've got has got this symbol on it. If it's got that on it, it's dimmable. If it hasn't, or it's got a cross through it, it's not going to be dimmable. In which case, get yourself a dimmable bulb and see if that solves the problem, and if not, you might need to change the module in the back of the dimmer for an LED module. The modules can be changed individually, just popped out, replaced with an LED version and put back in again. The only thing you have to be mindful of is some dimmers are offset and some are central, so it may not line up in the back of your dimmer switch or they might get stuck, so be careful and select which ones carefully. The majority of the time that's the problem solved there, but sometimes it does go a bit more complicated than that. So if we take this example of a room, if we have a room full of lights and there's one not working, likelihood is that will be the lamp or a particular problem with the connection on that fitting. But once you go into an area where perhaps 4 aren't working, you may have to look at how they're split up within the room. This is most likely going to be a dimmer switch problem because it's unlikely that 4 separate lights wouldn't be working. So I would always try the dimmer first, and then if that doesn't work, then I would look at slightly more complicated, start looking at the connections. But it's probably switched in this manner, which is why those particular 4 aren't working. Always look at the dimmer first. Going beyond that, or if you start getting effects like this was a fault we've had recently, and it's a series of lights over different switches that are all malfunctioning, likelihood is you want to be looking further back down the system. So I'd be looking back at the consumer unit, looking at loose connections and things like that, or possibly from a local junction box, because that may well be the case in that situation. It's unlikely to be the local dimmer switch. You always want to be mindful though and cover all bases in these sort of fault finds, because sometimes it could be something a little bit more sinister, so you do always want to be careful. When you have got the right combination of lamps and dimmer switches though, you should get the effect of this, basically a really nice gradient of light down and up. No flickering, no staggering, just a nice balance of light. There is so much more to unpick with lighting faults though. This is just a tiny little snippet of what might be the case in an early part of a fault find. However, as always, if you want to know more, just drop us a comment and give us a follow.